The match is 33 minutes old when the body stops listening. CM Punk has Roman Reigns draped across his shoulders for the second time in the match. 265 pounds of tribal chief slumped forward across a man who has been degraded, bloodied, and driven through a commentary table in the last 30 minutes. The go to sleep should be the last thing that happens tonight. There is no grammar in professional wrestling for what comes after this. A second GTS, back to back, is the punctuation at the end of a sentence. Every person in Allegiant Stadium understands this. CM Punk stands up, then collapses. His legs stopped working. It is a single second, barely visible, a tremor that runs through both knees simultaneously and communicates something that the will absolutely refuses to accept, that the body has already made its decision and the mind has not been consulted. Reigns rolls off his shoulders and hits the canvas. Punk gets up on his feet through the pure physics of stubbornness, swaying, standing in the strange equilibrium of a man whose biology and ambition have reached completely opposite conclusions. 55,000 people watch in a silence with a particular quality to it. The quality of watching something incredible happen inside something that is scripted. The quality of truth breaking through. Then Reigns is up. The spear followed. Punk drags himself to a seated position. He cocks his arm. He tries to throw one more desperate punch. Then Roman ran to the ropes and delivered the final blow. 1, 2, 3. The match runs 33 minutes and 56 seconds, but the way CM Punk ended up on his knees on the mat of a WrestleMania main event, spent, bleeding, underneath this specific man at this specific moment in history, is a 13-year story. It begins with 6 words said in a production meeting. And the reason I need to tell you this story is that those 6 words are, depending on your perspective, either the most embarrassing thing ever said about a wrestler's career, or the most accidentally prescient. For a long time, I was certain which one it was, but somewhere in Las Vegas on April 19th, 2026, I found out I was wrong. The sentence has a technical meaning. It is a creative note given to CM Punk in 2013 ahead of a handicap match at the TLC pay-per-view. Punk alone against the 3 members of The Shield, a match he has been told he will win. The secondary condition being stressed to him now is that the win cannot damage the faction's most carefully protected asset. This is ordinary backstage arithmetic. Every major company in the world does it every week. Protect who you have invested in. Words do not stay at the level of craft. In November 2014, 10 months after leaving WWE mid-tour and flying himself home from an airport in the middle of the night, CM Punk sits across from his friend Colt Cabana on a podcast and spends 2 hours detonating a decade's worth of grievance. Every frustration, every injustice, every moment he felt the company made him smaller than he was. The podcast is 2 hours long. One sentence escapes.
It's me versus the Shield 3-on-1. This is the most pushed 3 guys since like Bobby Lashley. They're like, you're going over. And I was like, okay. And they grab me and they stress, but you gotta make Roman look really, really strong.
I remember the first time I heard it turned into a chant, the way a production meeting's private language became a stadium's shared one, thousands of people reciting a backstage note in unison as a shared accusation against the entire system. You gotta make Roman look strong. Right. The chant rising every time Reigns kicked out of something that should have ended him, every time a finish arrived with a little too much scaffolding around it, every time the audience could already feel the result being arranged before it arrived. For the better part of a decade, that sentence traveled with Roman Reigns everywhere he went. It preceded him into every building, settled into every crowd, made itself comfortable in the gap between what the company insisted he was and what the audience had decided to believe. He spent years trying to make it untrue. In 2021, in an interview with Ariel Helwani, Reigns looks directly down the barrel of the question and declares that
when it comes down to it, CM Punk was not as good or as over as a John Cena. Wasn't as good or as over and moved the needle like The Rock.
The complaints, Reigns says, are the complaints of a man who thought more of himself than the evidence supported. WWE merchandises the reply, a needle mover shirt sold through the company store, worn on television.
So like they say at the end of the match, ladies and gentlemen, your winner, the ultimate needle mover, the head of the table, the tribal chief, in God mode himself, Roman Reigns.
The move has the energy of a man trying to kill a ghost with a t-shirt. None of this is the same thing as answering the sentence. The only answer cannot be manufactured or arranged in advance. The only answer is being in the ring with CM Punk in a match that matters, with no help, and winning. 13 years. One condition. That simple and that impossible. To understand why it took that long, you have to go back to the night Roman Reigns first appeared in front of a paying audience, which is, fittingly, a night CM Punk needed backup. Punk is at the zenith of his career. His championship reign is approaching one full calendar year. By the time it ends, it will last 434 consecutive days, a record that will stand for nearly a decade. He is also, in the quiet opinion of WWE management, a placeholder. A man filling a space until the real thing arrives. The Survivor Series main event is a triple threat. Punk against John Cena and Ryback, a massive newcomer whose entire character is a chant. The match has one of two outcomes. Ryback ends Punk's reign here, or the reign continues until the destination is better prepared. The reign continues. 3 men in black tactical riot gear climb over a barricade. Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, Roman Reigns. They call themselves The Shield. Their stated ideology is justice. What they actually are, in those first weeks, is a bodyguard unit. Every person they attack is someone who is about to hurt CM Punk. Every match they interfere in goes Punk's way. Roman Reigns' first physical action on the WWE main roster is a triple powerbomb through an announce table. His first function in the company is to be useful to someone else. He is introduced to the world as a piece of CM Punk's scaffolding. Think about what that means. Reigns arrives to protect Punk's title reign. And then, across the decade that follows, Punk will imply, on podcasts, on television, in interviews, that Reigns never stopped needing that kind of help. That the entire career was built, not earned. That the company spent years engineering the reactions and manufacturing the moments that the crowd simply refused to give him on its own. 2 men locked in an argument across a decade and a half about whether you can be handed greatness, or whether you can only become it. A year later, at TLC 2013, the pattern repeats. Punk wins, but the finish is designed around one priority. Make sure Reigns doesn't look beatable. Punk sidesteps the spear. Reigns hits his own partner by accident. The most important man in the faction walks out protected. A week later, in a production meeting, a sentence is said. The sentence outlives the match. In October 2018, Roman Reigns stands in a ring on a Monday night.
My real name is Joe, and I've been living with leukemia for 11 years. And unfortunately, it's back. And because the leukemia is back, I cannot fulfill my role. I can't be that fighting champion, and I'm going to have to relinquish the Universal Championship.
The crowd has spent years being told how to feel about this man, what to chant, when to cheer. Tonight, none of that matters. There is no character on that microphone. There is just a person in a ring telling thousands of strangers something true about his life. And the arena, the same arena that had booed him, resisted him, refused him for years, goes completely, devastatingly quiet. For the first time, this arena simply feels. When he returns in 2020, the pandemic has emptied the buildings. The crowds that spent years fighting him are gone. Into that silence, WWE hands him a new character, Tribal Chief, head of the table, and something in him that had been straining toward the wrong shape for years finally finds what it actually was. The thing the audience had always sensed in him. The thing they had been punishing him for not fully committing to. An absolute, bone-deep conviction that the world belongs to him by right of blood. 1,316 days. The longest reign in over 30 years. The best version of Roman Reigns is the one who stopped trying to be what they asked and started being what the audience had been pointing toward all along, even when they were pointing at him in anger.
Acknowledge me!
CM Punk, meanwhile, goes to fight. He signs with UFC. He loses to Mickey Gall, clean, public, and final. His second fight is a mess of showboating and a later overturned no contest. The Gall fight is enough. Punk has spent his entire career insisting, louder and more convincingly than almost anyone, that he is the best in the world. The cage put that claim in front of a different kind of judge. This is not a condemnation, but it matters to what comes later. He returns to wrestling in AEW in 2021. It is a brilliant second act. It is also an act that ends, in 2023, in a violent backstage incident and a termination. And then, against every grammatical rule of his own story, he comes back. November 2023, Chicago, Survivor Series. A secret kept so thoroughly, the building itself seems to stall when the music hits. The man who said he would never return, returning. To the exact company he abandoned, stepping back onto a stage now ruled entirely by the man he spent a decade helping millions of people resent. The pop that goes through the Allstate Arena is not enthusiasm. It is the sound of accumulated longing releasing all at once. 10 years of what if, moving through a building like a pressure wave. By itself, it is not a payoff. It is a premise. The payoff requires someone to do the work. Paul Heyman is a storyteller's nightmare. Punk's manager during the 434-day reign, Reigns' special counsel through the Tribal Chief era, the living proof that both men's greatest runs were shaped by the same brain. Neither of them ever fully got out from under him. At War Games 2024, inside the cage, the whole story of WrestleMania 42 plays out in miniature. Two men who have spent years as each other's most potent insult, forced by circumstance into collaboration, discovering with visible, mutual irritation that they are extraordinary together. Punk saves Reigns. The GTS sets up the spear. They win. In the aftermath, Punk pulls Heyman close and murmurs something the broadcast catches. "I'll call in that favor when I'm ready." In a predetermined world, the feeling that someone owes you something is the only currency that can't be faked. Punk cashes it at WrestleMania 41, forcing Heyman into his corner. Then, the betrayal. Heyman hands Rollins the victory and walks away from his original prodigy and his greatest creation on the same night. He leaves Punk and Reigns in the wreckage, with nobody left to aim their rage at except each other. Every external variable has been cleared. What remains is the thing that was always there underneath. Reigns wins the 2026 Royal Rumble in Saudi Arabia, enters at 26, works through Fatu, Jay, Logan Paul, and Gunther, and stands in the ring pointing at the sign. The reaction is complicated. Post-WrestleMania 40, Reigns had become a part-timer in everything but title. The Bloodline storyline had been stretched until significant parts of the audience had quietly stopped caring. The Rumble victory draws a reaction that is genuinely mixed. Some of it is appreciation. Some of it is fatigue. Punk, watching from somewhere backstage, has his own problems. The return pop from 2023 had curdled. The discourse has shifted. Boring, people say. A hypocrite. A shell. A man coasting on reputation, delivering promos that feel like rehearsed versions of things he'd said better a decade ago.
Listen up, Dwayne, you bald fraud!
The fraud accusations have returned. The most credible possible witness for the prosecution has, in the eyes of the audience, started to look unreliable. 2 damaged men, 1 unresolved sentence. The following Monday in Philadelphia, Reigns is given the microphone to announce his opponent. He could talk strategy. He doesn't. He says,
I'm picking you because I hate you. I've always hated you. And WrestleMania is going to be the best day of my life because in the main event, you will acknowledge me.
The word hate is doing serious work there. Reigns isn't choosing Punk because it makes strategic sense. He's choosing Punk because no championship, no record, no WrestleMania moment will feel like enough until the man who started the sentence has been beaten by him directly. The hatred is older than the title they were fighting for. Punk invokes the Shield. Without me, there is no Roman Reigns. He positions himself as the architect. Reigns doesn't dispute the history.
And just like I chose to bring you into this company along with the rest of the Shield.
He changes the stakes. He goes to the podcast.
On your little best friend's podcast, running your mouth, making my life harder than it ever should have been.
Punk's argument is, I built you. Reigns' argument is, you cost me. Both are proxies for something neither man will say directly. Then, March 2nd in Indianapolis, Punk crosses a line.
Because I'm going to bury you next to your father.
Sika Anoa'i passed away in June 2024. Reigns had kept that grief away from the performance entirely. The arena goes quiet, with the specific quality of a room deciding whether to follow a story into the dark. The following week, Reigns says 2 words.
You're old.
There is no comeback to You're Old. Punk has spent his entire career answering with speeches. The perfectly assembled argument, every grievance filed and ready. Biology ignores all of it. Punk is 47. Your old finds the fear underneath every other fear he carries. He throws a punch because there is no speech that answers it. April 6th in Houston. Pipe Bomb 2.0. Punk arrives at Reigns with the surgical strike.
You are just a buck-toothed Nepo baby who ate dog food for a weird old man.
The line argues that the tribal chief is still just a product of other people's choices. It lands because it's true enough. It also lands because Reigns cares what Punk thinks of him more than the match requires, and Punk has always known it. 1 week before WrestleMania in Sacramento, Punk stops performing. He confesses to envy, that he wanted the lineage and the cleared path. Then, quietly,
And I hate the fact that I invoked your father's name in vain, and I sincerely apologize to you.
Reigns' response is the mirror. He has everything, but he cannot manufacture what the audience gives Punk without being asked. The feeling of being chosen rather than directed toward. Two men finally saying what 13 years were actually about. Then Reigns ends it.
On Sunday, we fix this mess that you started. On Sunday, the tribal chief takes back over, and you, along with the whole world, will acknowledge me.
The armor goes back on. 6 days remain. The context that the Sunday crowd carries into Allegiant Stadium has been shaped, catastrophically, by the night before. The Night 1 main event was a pairing with nearly 2 decades of history, material that should have carried itself. Instead, it was buried under a celebrity apparatus. A microphone strike from Pat McAfee, a diving splash from Jelly Roll, neck braces, and fast counts. The match receives the lowest rating for a WrestleMania main event in 40 years. The problem wasn't the wrestlers. The problem was the TKO era's appetite for supplementation. The corporate stagecraft that communicates clearly and continuously that the match itself is insufficient. Once you start watching the machinery instead of the match is over in every sense that matters. This is the specific dread the Sunday night crowd carries with them. On paper, the Punk Reigns build had been stubbornly about its 2 participants. That should make optimism rational. What it actually does is make the crowd's armor thicker. Both men had spent months as targets. Punk, called a hypocrite, a voice delivering pipe bomb speeches to an audience that had heard them all before. Reigns, called a part-timer, because in the recent years he had more returns than the matches. The discourse had the specific exhaustion of an audience that had genuinely wanted something and watched it not quite arrive. Every recent main event of consequence had been resolved through the outside intervention. The bloodline shenanigans, the Heyman betrayal, the celebrity interference. The clean, single-on-single finish had started to feel like something from an earlier era, plausibly extinct. 55,000 people arrive carrying 2 contradictory things: 13 years of genuine investment and a layer of lowered expectations built from the sponsor mania they witnessed on Night 1. They have been here before. They know what it looks like when the machinery intervenes. Every year, someone asks the same question: how do you build a perfect WrestleMania main event? Answer is always simple. Get the blueprint correct. The right opponents, the right story, the right finish. And perfection follows. 55,000 people were about to watch that theory get tested. I don't know how many of them believed it was going to work, because I didn't. So the entrances begin. AFI's Miseria Cantare moves through the closed dome acoustics of a stadium built to trap sound and make it feel larger than it is. Reigns' entrance comes first. Piano. Then drums. Deep red, black, and gold. His 11th WrestleMania main event. 3 more than Hulk Hogan. He takes the ramp at the pace of a man who understands that making 55,000 people wait is its own statement of power. CM Punk follows. His old Ring of Honor theme plays over a career-spanning montage. Then he walks out in silence. Ring gear built as a tribute to Harley Race, to his dog Larry, to WWE staff no longer here to see this. A wordless announcement. Race was the kind of toughness measured in rounds survived. The gear says, That is what tonight is. Inside the ropes, the dueling chants organize themselves. OTC, CM Punk. For the first time all weekend, the audience is given permission to feel whatever they actually feel. It is audible relief. The bell rings. Reigns muscles Punk into the corner with casual ease. Punk responds with a grinding side headlock. Reapplied the instant Reigns powers out. Again and again. The only resource available to him that Reigns cannot simply overwhelm is attrition. The match is built entirely on this disparity. When Reigns catches Punk mid-air for a Samoan drop, the contest shifts to a single question. Can ring intelligence and endurance convert a size disadvantage into something survivable? Whether experience is a real currency or just a story we tell ourselves, this is the question of CM Punk's entire career. Reigns works methodically. Barricade, announce desk, tree of woe, Punk upside down, defenseless. And Reigns stops being a professional wrestler for a sustained, visible second. This is where the decade of accumulated hatred becomes visible. The Superman punches carry unrehearsed velocity. He is not executing a sequence. He is doing something he has wanted to do for a very long time, and the want is present in every frame. He picks up the steel steps. He drives them into Punk's skull. Reigns hoists the bloodied Punk and drives him through the announce desk with a powerbomb. The same weapon that introduced Roman Reigns to the world 13 years ago, in service of someone else's reign. This time, it belongs entirely to him. At the 26th minute, Punk rolls to ringside and takes an ulafala from a fan's neck. He puts it on, returns to the ring wearing the sacred red beads, mocking the lineage, the blood, everything Reigns has built his identity on, mocks the battle cry, charges to deliver Reigns' own spear. Reigns catches him, counters. The submission sequence is the private clinic inside the match. Reigns locks the guillotine first, weight forward, draining the air from Punk's lungs with the slow arithmetic of suffocation. Punk fights toward the anaconda vice, nearly wrenches it. Reigns escapes on raw strength. Two men arguing in the language of leverage, neither able to make it stick. The guillotine locks in a second time, deeper, and Punk is already 30 minutes spent. Punk fights out. He peels the athletic tape from his wrist and throws it directly at Reigns. Trash in the ring. The referee obligated to dispose of it, his back turned for 3 seconds. A veteran's calculated exploitation of 3 seconds. While the official turns away, Punk delivers the cheapest move available. He has spent a month telling Roman Reigns that greatness is earned. In the 31st minute, there is exactly one thing worse than cheating. It is losing. The GTS produces a 2 count. The elbow from the top rope goes through the commentary table, both men motionless in the wreckage. Punk drags Reigns back inside, hoists him, 265 pounds across his shoulders, and the legs fail. The press conference happens early on the morning of April 20th. Roman Reigns sits behind a long table with the championship beside him and speaks with the composure of a man who has been preparing for exactly this situation for a long time. He says,
CM Punk didn't just run his mouth, he backed it up. He just ran into a better man than him.
The qualifier is doing more work than it looks like. It acknowledges what a flat declaration would dishonestly obscure. This result belongs to this occasion, under these specific conditions, in this specific 33-minute window. Punk has been many things over 13 years. Tonight, he was the one whose body filed its notice first. Today refuses to let the result generalize into a verdict on the whole preceding history. It leaves the argument open, because the real one, the one about identity and legacy and where greatness actually comes from, cannot be settled by one match. What the match does settle is an accusation. For a decade, Make Roman Look Strong traveled as an indictment. Roman Reigns did not succeed. He was arranged into the appearance of success. The machine organized the optics to conceal a hollow center. The finish at WrestleMania 42 has no machine in it. What it has is Roman Reigns running across a ring and striking another man hard enough to end the contest. Twice. A count of 3. The championship changing hands on the most elementary terms professional wrestling offers. Punk used every implement in his vocabulary. the GTS, the submission clinic, the stolen signature, the Ulafala provocation, the low blow, and ran short of options because his own body withdrew its cooperation. The best WrestleMania main events are irreducibly about themselves. That is how you build a perfect one. Except you don't. You can't. You can get the booking and the structure right and still end up with nothing, because the blueprint is not the building. The blueprint is what you draw when you don't yet know if the real thing exists. What the blueprint cannot account for is chemistry. The specific friction between two people who spent 13 years as each other's most credible opponent, not in the ring, but in the argument. Punk needed Reigns to validate every accusation he ever made. Reigns needed Punk to retract one. That tension cannot be scheduled. It either accumulated or it didn't. And here it had been accumulating since 2012, with the density of something neither man could put down. What the blueprint also cannot account for is circumstance. Both men arrived damaged. The audience had every reason to believe both men were past it. The match didn't just have to be good. It had to answer something the audience had already half decided. There are matches that fail because they serve something other than the people in them. There are matches, like Cena's farewell, where the conclusion is foreordained by cultural logic, ceremonies that end exactly where they were designed to end by the machine. Both failure modes strip the audience of the one thing a great main event requires: the genuine possibility of being surprised. The matches that work are the ones where that possibility is real, and the answer has weight. Rock and Austin at WrestleMania 17, Undertaker and Michaels at 26, Daniel Bryan at 30, Cody and Reigns at 40. Each one was the final layer settled on years of actual pressure, inevitable in retrospect, uncertain in the moment. The audience walked into each of them not knowing, and that not knowing was the whole thing. WrestleMania 42 Night 2 is about whether CM Punk, 47 years old, can survive Roman Reigns long enough to make him prove something he was never required to prove before. About whether two men the audience had quietly started to write off could find in each other the specific resistance that made both of them matter. Again, he cannot. This is the answer to the sentence. Here's the thing I did not understand until Punk's knees buckled. I had been watching this as Roman's story, about whether the man whose credibility had been undermined by 6 words could reclaim it. I had been wrong about whose story it was. I was wrong about almost everything else. I thought both men were past it. I thought Punk's fire had become a rehearsed performance of itself. I thought Reigns was trading on reputation. I thought the company would insert the machinery at the last moment because that is what the company does. All of it wrong. The match answered every skepticism simultaneously. Not just the sentence from 2013, but every reason the audience had spent months building its armor. 33 minutes. Two men who found in each other exactly the resistance they needed to matter again. In 2013, CM Punk didn't invent the resistance to Roman Reigns. The resistance was already there, but he gave it language, a sentence that was clean and repeatable and devastating. And once a feeling has a sentence attached to it, it stops being a feeling and becomes a position. He spent the next 13 years as the most credible possible witness for the prosecution. And then he came back. The cage, the favor, the betrayal, the confessions, the fight, and Punk's knees gave out. He was the measuring stick. The person whose name was attached to the wound at its origin point was the one whose inability to end the match finally closed it. On April 19th, 2026, Roman Reigns was made to look strong by the only person whose testimony has ever mattered on the question. The production meeting got its answer 13 years late. The ring crew enters at 12:47 a.m. and works around the man still lying in the center of the ring. Nobody asks him to move. He does not look like a man who has been beaten. He looks like a man trying to remember what he weighs without the thing he has been carrying. A sentence said in a production meeting in 2013 travels for 13 years. Through a podcast and a chant and a t-shirt and 1,316 days and a leukemia announcement and empty arenas and a London incident and a return pop and a betrayal and a confession. Through 33 minutes and 56 seconds in Las Vegas. And then it arrives at a man's knees and stops. If this is the kind of story you come to wrestling for, like this video and subscribe to the channel. There are more of them coming.